Solve a quadratic equation by completing the square. Here's my quadratic equation. It's in standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And I want to solve for x by using the completing the square method. Now the first thing you want to do is you want to get the x squared term to have a coefficient of 1. You can either factor a 3 out or divide both sides by 3 to get this x squared to have a coefficient of 1. I'm going to divide both sides by 3. I can split it up on the left. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 1 times x squared would be x squared. And then I can write this middle term as minus 2/3 times x. And 3 divided by 3 is 1, so this will be a minus 1. And then 0 divided by 3 is 0. And there you go. You have a coefficient of 1 on the x squared term. Now what you want to do is you want to isolate the x squared and x terms. We can do that by adding 1 on both sides. The 1's cancel on the left. Now what you want to do is you want to take this coefficient on the x term. You want to do two things to it in order. You want to take half of it, then square it. So we're going to take 2/3, we're going to take half of it, and then square it. Taking half of it is the same thing as divide or multiplying by a half. So if you need to do it off to the side, you can do it off to the side. You're going to take half of 2/3 and square it. So half of 2/3 is the same thing as 2/3 times a half. These 2's will cancel. That gives you 1/3 squared. And that gives you 1/9. That is the number that you want to add on both sides. So you get x squared minus 2/3 x plus 1/9, and then 1 plus 1/9 on the right. Now this becomes a trinomial, a perfect square trinomial. It's going to factor into two binomials where these two first terms multiply to give x squared. That's x and x. And then these two numbers multiply to give positive 1/9, but add to give negative 2/3. That's going to be a minus 1/3 and a minus 1/3. Right? Negative 1/3 times negative 1/3 is positive 1/9. And negative 1/3 plus negative 1/3 is negative 2/3. So that's what it means by completing the square. You are making a square out of this. And I can combine these numbers over here. I can write the 1 as 9/9. That way I can combine those to make 10/9. Okay, so the left-hand side, these will, when you're doing completing the square, these will always be the same. So that's going to be x minus 1/3 squared on the left. And then on the right, that's going to be 10/9. All right, I completed the square. Now I need to finish it. The goal is to solve for x. We can finish this by using the square root property. You can square root both sides. When you square root both sides, you need to include a plus or minus. The square root and the square, they are inverse properties. They will undo each other. So on the left, we're just left with x minus 1/3. And then on the right-hand side, you can break this up. You'll have square root of 10 up top. And then on the bottom, square root of 9 is 3. And the last thing to do would be to get rid of this minus 1/3. You're going to add 1/3 on both sides. So x is going to be left by itself on the left. I'm going to put the 1/3 in front of the plus or minus sign. And there you go. I'm going to finish it by combining this into one fraction. So I'm going to have 1 plus or minus square root of 10 up top and a 3 on the bottom. The denominators are the same, so you can combine it into one fraction. That is completing the square.